When was the last time you had sushi? It's pretty tasty, right? But you probably wouldn't think the same way if you knew that there might be small plastics and chemicals contaminating the delicious raw fish on the table. When we think of plastics in the ocean, we normally think of floating plastic bags, bottles, wrappers, and other large pieces of debris, and most of us still think it takes a long time for these plastics to break down. The truth is, plastics break down very quickly, and they can do so at much cooler temperatures than we used to think, in the span of about 1 year. While this might make it seem like plastics are self-degrading out of the ocean, they don't actually disappear. Plastics stay in the water in micro and nano sizes, which range from a few millimeters in size to particles much smaller than the bare eye can detect. While many of us are aware of the dangers of large plastics, such as animal entanglement, marine life has absolutely no way to escape the threats posed by micro and nanoplastics. The breaking down of minuscule plastics releases toxins previously trapped in the plastic's rigid chemical structure. One of these toxins, bisphenol A, is currently building up to harmful levels in our oceans. Additionally, micro and nanoplastics act as a kind of sponge for chemicals in the surrounding water. Chemicals stick to and accumulate on the surface of small plastic particles, making them exponentially more toxic than surrounding water. Studies of microplastics in the ocean have found that nearly 50% of them carried PCBs and 75% of the small plastics had PAHs, toxins that are both carcinogenic even with long-term exposure to just small amounts. The long stay of plastics in the ocean is not good news for marine life. In samples of hundreds of fish, up to one-third of them showed direct ingestion of plastic. Worse than directly eating the plastic particles is when the fish eat contaminated zooplankton, a small microbe that is a food source for a variety of fish and that easily absorbs small plastics. In areas such as the Central Pacific, where plastic occurs 6 times more than zooplankton, many zooplankton die from absorption of large amounts of toxic plastics. Of those that survive, despite the chemical intake, most are then eaten by fish who absorb the chemicals with their food. Each level of the food chain faces similar effects, but the main issue for us is the magnification of the problem as we work our way up the food web. The concentrations of these harmful chemicals increase each step up the chain, from zooplankton to bigger fish and up, all the way to your table. While the current state of the problem isn't very optimistic due to inefficient cleanup methods and international political difficulties, continued research and increased efforts are attempting to improve current conditions. Otherwise, if things don't go swimmingly, we'll have to consider the weight of plastics outnumbering fish in our oceans by 2050 on a pound-by-pound basis.